My girlfriend's dad discouraged me from proposing because their family isn't thrilled about us having dark babies. Me and my girlfriend, Naomi, are an interracial couple, with her being Korean and me being black. We have dated for just under 5 years now, and for the past few months I've been planning on proposing. I'm pretty traditional, so I thought it would be a good idea to ask Naomi's dad for his blessing before I proposed. I asked earlier this month. When I arrived at their house I was greeted by Naomi's mother and father who invited me in. After a little talking I told them that I was going to propose and wanted their blessing. Her mother was ecstatic, and her father didn't seem displeased and he told me it was okay for me to propose. We talked more and the topic of babies was brought up by her mother. I told her that I wanted to have kids with her, and she got even happier. We continued talking. When I told them I needed to start heading home her mother said she would send me home with some food and left for the kitchen. Me and her dad have a small language barrier between us that usually is alleviated by either Naomi or her mother, so we kinda just sat there in silence. He then told me this: "I'll clean it up," but it was difficult to understand as he isn't great at English. "You are a very nice young man and we like you a lot. We'd be happy to have you in our family, but we are not too happy about you and are having dark babies." I was stunned, and kinda just awkwardly laughed. We sat there for another 2 minutes before her mom came out with a wrapped plate. When I got home, I said nothing about this to Naomi. I know I need to talk to her about what was said, but I don't want to be the one that accuses her family of being racists, and I know this is probably irrational but the way her father said it put the thought in my head that Naomi may not want kids because of how dark I am. How do I approach her about this in the least accusatory way as possible? Update: thanks for all y'all's input, it really helped and most of y'all were right on the target. Yesterday afternoon I sat my girlfriend, Naomi, down and had a conversation with her about what her dad said to me. I tried to leave out any mention of proposal and told her I was in their neighborhood and decided to pop by. Terrible lie, I know, but she bought it. I told her what her dad said about us having dark babies and asked if she had any similar feelings about our kids popping out half black. She looked at me like I was out of my mind. She told me she didn't give an F about the color of her kids as long as I was the dad, which was reassuring. She was not so happy with her dad. She wanted us to take a drive over there and talk with her parents about it. That evening we dropped by unannounced, and when her mom opened the door to see us she immediately asked Naomi to show her the ring. Naomi was confused and I about crapped myself. I, like a dummy, didn't call ahead to her parents that I hadn't proposed. I guess her mom thought we were going to surprise her with the engagement and assumed I had already proposed. I was speechless. They began speaking in Korean, but from context I assume her mom was asking if I was too cheap to buy her an engagement ring. And Naomi looked at me and started hugging and kissing me. My secret was out and I told her I had already asked her parent for their blessing. She was a few seconds from crying but sucked it up so we could speak to her dad. Like I said in my original post, my future father-in-law isn't great at English, so he and Naomi spoke in Korean. According to Naomi, she asked him why he told me that, and he said that he was worried about their extended family not viewing our babies as Korean and being rude to them or me for being black. I guess this did not come across well in English, because he was just concerned for me and our kids. He didn't care that our babies would have dark skin. This was a huge relief. Her father isn't the racist their extended families are, but like, screw them, who cares what they think. I am just so glad that our future kids are going to have grandparents that are going to love them. Only downside is now Naomi is expecting my proposal, so I really got to knock her socks off. Thanks so much for all the help.
Front desk receptionist mentioned my essay. My day is ruined and I don't know where to go from this. I'm a freshman university student who was referred to specific doctor from the physical therapist for my major. Everything was presumably going well, but I was nervous as this was my second time really going to the doctors alone. I realized I wasn't in the database for some reason after submitting my information in at the kiosk, so I went to get help from a receptionist so I could carry on with my appointment. She asked for my personal information and everything was going fine until it was time for me to pull out an insurance card. Upon seeing it was Medicaid, she suddenly got so cold to me for no reason, exclaiming in a louder tone than before, "We don't take Medicaid here, like at all." She went around trying to figure out how else to help me, but was very obviously pissed off at me. I overheard her and her coworker talking crap about another patient. At one point she was looking through records to see what was going on, but for some reason she felt the need to mention the last reason I went to that hospital, which was my essay. She said, "Yeah, the last thing it shows in here is, come closer." Then she whispers in my ear kind of loudly, "Your essay." I froze and immediately tried not to cry the entire time while keeping my composure. It's been 3 hours and I'm still crying about this. Had a breakdown about it in front of my professor, who told me that it was unprofessional of her, but I still can't help but to feel like I'm overreacting.
My wife told me to shut my mouth in front of a bunch of people at a kid's birthday party. My wife and I are at odds lately over her sister-in-law, who is also her best friend, who is married to her brother. Long story short, she bends over backwards to accommodate their every ask, including babysitting, errands, etc. This extends to volunteering me to help them without my knowledge or consent, etc. She never sees my point of view or agrees with any criticism of them I have. We were at my nephew's birthday party today. My sister-in-law is the one who's hosting it, so my wife is super keen for things to go well. Things were going okay. My daughter, 3, was a bit upset because her balloon animal had accidentally been popped, so she's standing with my wife getting a cuddle, and a boy, older than her, 5 or 6, sprints into her and knocks her over. She's crying obviously, and I pick her up. My wife is making a joke of it, saying oh she needs to watch where she's going. I said back to her don't blame her for getting bowled over by the bigger boy. Now, apparently the mother of this other kid was in earshot, which prompted my wife to tell me, in front of one of her other best friends and a couple of other guests, to shut my mouth. Then she had the cheek to tell me to not have a moody face. 15 minutes before this post, I sent an email to a divorce lawyer for a consultation. I've finally reached my limit. Update, I spoke to my solicitor first thing this morning, and we had a good talk. He knows that I'm angry and upset at the situation, and he says that he will get myself and my wife in for a consultation if we decide to go down that route. The issue in Scotland is that for a divorce where only one party wants out, it can take upwards of a year to get it, and evidence of separation in that period, unless both parties agree to unreasonable behavior as the reason for the courts granting the divorce. Long story short, I can't proceed without her buy-in, if I want it resolved fast. So I took my daughter to my mum's after this, and then sat my wife down. I told her that yesterday's situation was absolutely unacceptable, and that if I had told her to shut her mouth in front of my friends, that I'd be getting crucified from everyone we know. I told her she was lucky I kept my mouth shut at the party, and that I didn't give an F about how sister-in-law would have taken it. We fought again about sister-in-law, and again, she defended her actions, saying that I'm the selfish one who won't help out my family when they need it. I then did the, perhaps petty, move of dropping divorce leaflets I'd printed from my solicitor's website in front of her. I said to her I absolutely want to help my family, and this is how I do it. I told her about how I was tired of playing third wheel in my own marriage, and I told her that I was not prepared to subject my daughter to a lifetime of this subservience. Finally, it looks like what I've said has had an impact. She cried and I think she was close to having a panic attack. This made me feel guilty, because fundamentally I don't think she's a bad person. She's just brainwashed into thinking sister-in-law is the second coming of the Messiah. So she promised that when I've finished work today we can have a serious talk about things, and she will listen to my concerns. Right now I'm not buying it, but I owe her and my daughter at least a chance to sort things out, so I'll see where it goes. To answer some questions folks had, I know this seemed like an overreaction to something, but you've got to understand this was the latest in a long line of sister-in-law related issues. Some folks have asked if my wife is gay and in love. I have thought about this as a possibility. I didn't ask her yet, but I may tonight. It certainly seems logical given how passionate she gets about it. Update 2. So we sat down last night for the crunch talks. I have to give her credit where it's due. She apologized for what she said at the party, and she said that she'd also have considered divorce if I'd done the same to her. I reiterated to her that my issue is that she completely makes herself subservient to sister-in-law at our expense. I pointed out how messed up it was that she didn't immediately take our daughter's side in this incident. The collision was accidental, I think, but I told her that to blame the little one was out of line, which she accepted. I then asked her outright if she had any sort of romantic feelings for sister-in-law. She squirmed and looked a little uncomfortable. She said that a long time ago at the end of high school there had been a drunken kiss on a night out, but nothing beyond that. She sort of played the angle that she didn't want anyone, especially her brother, to know about it, and that's why she bends over backwards to make sure sister-in-law is happy. I asked her if sister-in-law had ever threatened to reveal this incident, but she denies that it's even been brought up. She just thinks that if the wider family knew, it'd bring up a lot of weirdness. She swears that she has no interest in having any kind of relationship with sister-in-law, and that she's straight. I told her I didn't care about what she did that long ago, but that it needed to stop impacting our relationship in the present because I am the thinnest of thin hairs away from walking away forever. She, surprisingly, apologized again, and said that she'd really try to work on it. I told her that I needed to see some proof of that, so she can consider herself on probation. I told her that if I feel that it's happened again, I'll be taking our daughter to stay at my mum's. She accepted this, so we're proceeding cautiously. Sorry if this isn't the update you were all hoping for, but I think it's the best thing for the three of us right now. My wife spent my birthday out with her friends. I've posted here many times about issues I've had with my wife, most commonly with regards to her subservience to her best friend turned sister-in-law. She's promised to try and work on this, given how much it's impacted our marriage. But today I think we passed the point of no return. You see, today is my birthday. It's past midnight now though. This morning my daughter, who is nearly 4, gave me huge hugs and kisses, which was great. My wife gave me a card, and told me that my gift hadn't arrived in the post yet. My suspicion is that she's yet to order it, or ordered it late, whatever it may be. I then logged into my work and did my shift like any other day. My wife was off work while my daughter was at my mum's for a visit. Nothing special was planned for the evening, because there were plans in place already, just that those plans didn't include me. Sister-in-law and a couple of my wife's other friends had arranged to go out for dinner and drinks, because a voucher sister-in-law had for a particular restaurant expired soon, and my birthday was the only date they could all make. Crappy, right? Gets better though, because my wife made a big social media post wishing me a happy birthday, saying how crap it was that I had to work all night on my birthday. A complete lie, but it does make her look less bad in public for not spending my birthday with me. The issue is, because she's done this, I now couldn't make plans with friends or family without exposing her lie. So yeah, great birthday. When I think about how she'd react if I had pulled half the shit she has pulled, I can't see it ending any other way than me getting screamed at, even though she's chosen to spend my birthday with sister-in-law instead of me. On the plus side, I did some Warhammer painting after I collected my daughter and played with her a bit before bed. She also asked why mummy wasn't here, which kind of crushed me. Am I wrong to be annoyed about this? Update, I've separated from my wife. Hi again everyone. I just wanted to say firstly thank you very much for all of your responses and private messages. Many of you were supportive, and many of you, rightfully upon reflection, told me that I needed to grow some backbone and sort my crap out. I've been sitting on this for a few days, because the full events of what has transpired since then have blown my mind, and have brought home some very harsh truths about my relationship, but I also wanted to see if what went down would actually stick, and so far it has. The fun question out of the way first, for those who were asking about my painting, I was painting some Thousand Suns Terminators. So starting the day after my birthday, my wife initiated lovemaking, and let me tell you, this was an occasion in itself. I legitimately could not tell you the last time that this happened. It's been that long. I'm thinking to myself maybe she's feeling guilty about yesterday and she's trying to make it up. After the deed was done, she turns round to me and says your present won't be here for another couple of days. That will have to do for now. I'm pretty disappointed at this point, not because I had a huge desire for a particular gift, but because she felt that her behavior the day before was fine. And then for her to think, I'll use lovemaking to cover up my mess up, was also a bit of a blow. Whatever, I've sucked up worse before and powered through. What broke me was her opinion on sister-in-law's birthday. Long story short, for those who don't know, sister-in-law is possibly my least favorite person on the planet due to her parasitic behavior and main character syndrome. Coincidentally, it's a couple of weeks after mine. My wife told me all about her birthday plans for her. She wanted to get her a gift to her favorite massage therapist. What was the big deal? The shop only sells paper vouchers, and it's a 3-hour round trip to the shop. So off she went, again leaving me with my daughter, and what commenced next can only be described as 3 hours of my brain simmering slowly towards an explosion. I took my daughter to my brother's house, because I knew that when my wife came back I was going to explode. When she came back, I was sitting in the living room with a bag packed for me, and in an admittedly petty move, and one packed for my daughter. This immediately got her attention, and she demanded to know what was going on. I unloaded it all. It wasn't coherent, and I definitely got more emotional as I unloaded more grievances. I started by telling her it was unacceptable how she completely screwed up my birthday, while making sister-in-law's birthday a major priority. How I was sick of feeling like a third wheel in my own marriage. How I had literally sacrificed my personality on the altar of keeping her happy. And how I never saw my friends anymore, yet she could do whatever she wanted. How I take care of the house despite working more hours than her for not even a shred of gratitude. How she used lack of love-making as a tool of manipulation and control. I cried and shouted. She did the same and vehemently denied all of my accusations. She demanded to know where our girl was, and I told her that she would not be using her as a bargaining chip against me. We eventually calmed down enough to agree that I would keep her at our house, while she temporarily stayed with her mom and dad. I agreed to drop her off for visits while we worked things out. It's been a few emotionally exhausting days. I feel drained, spent and tired, but I have my little girl, and I feel like I have done what I could. I don't know what my relationship status is right now. We haven't been speaking except to arrange drop-offs, and I'm comfortable with that for now. I need some more time before I consider more permanent steps. I've never ever unloaded on her like this before, but Jesus Christ, it felt good, even if she continued to deny everything.
I proposed to my best friend of 14 years, we got married and now I celebrate our anniversaries by myself. As the title says, I married my best friend. It's more like married. We were 4 when we first met. It was our first day of prep. Aussie's here. Her mum had somehow managed to drop her off at the wrong primary school on her first day of school ever. I simply saw opportunity for a friend, and I took it, and by the end of the day she and I were attached by the hip, of which my twin brother did not like. He got over it. On lunch my mum had packed me and my brother those lolly rings, accidentally packing me too, so me and my newest friend had lolly rings on our first day of school. When it was time for pickup we made our mums hand over each other's phone numbers so we could talk. That was the first and last day of school we shared, but that didn't stop us from being friends. Weekly play dates on weekends where we would go to the local bakery, and she would get a lamington and I a jam donut. We would steal our mums' phones to talk to each other. When we got older we didn't get the chance to talk as much, but we were still friends. In 4th grade I lost my dad and stopped all contact with anybody that I didn't live with or have to see at school. Just like that, 3 years had passed and I hadn't spoken to her. In an unfortunate turn of events, we met in the hospital. Then just like that it was like no time had gone. We were those 9-year-olds talking on the phone as though nothing had ever happened. By that time we had both gotten our own phones as we had to take public transport, so with that we were in regular contact again. Just a year into the talking she had something to tell me. She had a rare type of cancer. I won't say what kind. She was told the same day we got back into contact. The doctors weren't sure if they could help her, but they were trying. She had to go on different medications and different chemo treatments. She was only in 8th grade. We were 13. 6 long years of treatment and she was only getting worse. She gave me a list of things she wanted me to do for her when she passed. Most were basic things that normal people had gotten to do, like go watch fireworks or see a school play. The one she most wanted to do was get married, but she knew she wouldn't make it, so she wanted me to get married one day. On the last day of 2022, I got permission from her doctors and parents to take her to see the New Year fireworks. Right when it struck 12 a.m. I proposed. With a lolly ring, she said yes. Although confused she said yes. I told her why miss out when she could have her own wedding. With that our pretend wedding planning began. We had an engagement party, a bachelorette party, and had 4 months of wedding planning, all in the safety of her hospital room. We got married on the 10th of April. I lost my best friend just a month into being married, the 10th of May. I wish I hadn't cut her out of my life. I lost 3 years of friendship because of me. Even though she said she was happy to just say 14 years of friendship, I wish it really was. So do you, Lamington. Thank you. Tell Dad I said hi and that I still love him. I love you, my best friend. No one could replace you. I hope you can see all the fireworks up there. I'll celebrate every anniversary. Just take care of yourself and Dad.